I have spent the last year atoning for my former rider's sins. He escaped judgment by committing seppuku out of cowardice, and possibly was on the receiving end of a Gideon interview. In reality, it's because I lost my IRL min-maxing progress due to not taking my government-mandated diet meth. In lighter news, I have returned, and today we are looking at a tactical, turn-based RPG set in a historical, culturally rich, and highly devout setting of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. At least that's what the developer's notes imply. In reality, it takes place in the lawless, godless expanse of Ostrovets, a place where the local fauna has vested a highly physical interest in your biology. Character creation is a delicate balance of min-maxing and psychological preparation. You are given several classes to choose from, but there is only one correct choice: the thief. Why? Because the combat system relies heavily on agility, initiative, and the ability to rob people blind before they realize you aren't wearing pants. Also, it makes you filthy rich off of the spawn. Some people might be tempted to choose Orc as a race, believing it'll impact their stats. Do not do this. In no world does an Orc perform the same intimately as a Lowlander. The game's engine simply isn't optimized for it, and your morality will not survive the first act. Welcome to Ironia, a lovely place filled with friendly faces and immediate, crushing despair. Your first instinct will be to talk to the local merchant. Do not do this. The strange merchant, who lives in a femcell goon shack, is the quickest game over method currently coded into the game. One polite greeting, and you are immediately being offered a life of indentured servitude. Instead, we utilize the peak economic strategy of the 16th century: aggressive tax evasion. Local bandits and debt collectors will routinely ambush you to steal your hard-earned gold. The solution? Walk until you find Urka, the Futa Orc. Strategically lose the fight that occurs immediately afterward, proceed to stalk and marry her, then intentionally go completely destitute. If you have zero net worth, the bandits have nothing to take, and you can wander around the map as a penniless, homicidal maniac with a heavily bruised pelvis. While exploring, you will encounter the local centaur population. I highly recommend avoiding the centaurs, for if you lose to them, you get put in their camp. Now, you would think this results in an immediate game over screen, but the developers are masochists. It unlocks a thrilling gameplay loop consisting of clicking one of two tiles, selecting a single dialogue option, and you getting bread. That was a double entendre, because yes, that is what happens, but you also get paid exactly a single coin every time it does. It is technically the most consistent macroeconomic engine in the early game. You're told that it is possible to buy your way out of this debt, but given the fact you are now a serf means that this isn't optimal unless you're going for a long run. To progress to the second half of Ironia, you must cross the river. There are two available paths. The first one contains a lovely, soft-spoken mermaid. The second one features absolutely nothing. Naturally, I chose the first path, as it was the one I auto-clicked to. I did not intend to get inseminated by a fish, but I did learn how to swim. I do recommend you take the other path, though. As it turns out, laying eggs during active combat does not increase your agility. In fact, it makes it significantly worse. We have arrived in the town of monsters. It is a sprawling metropolis of 5 stores, a shack you should not enter, an arena where you can earn a healthy salary equivalent to that of a cobalt miner owned by Tesla. If you go to the manor, you can fight the resident warlock. Defeating her allows her to join your party, which is incredibly useful for the randomized magical charms she can bestow upon you, ranging from fire protection, which is useful against a total of 3 enemies, to shit you will actually use. However, the UI layout is a trap. One misclick during your compliance dialogue, and you end up permanently infertile. This completely locks you into suboptimal story routes and makes befriending the local NPCs much more difficult or easy. It really depends on how close you are to the civilized cities or the bogs that Ruthenians would call a paradise. Also, there is a fort and a giant woman the size of literal mountains on either side of the map. Neither lead to anything of interest, as the game is early access, and it tells you this outright when you try to go there. Eventually, the game's internal logic will break you. You will look for answers. You will visit the official wiki. Deep in the community guidelines, you will find the Holy Grail, a community-maintained strategy spreadsheet containing every stat, item, and dialogue trigger in the game. Half the time, I have no clue as to what I'm looking at. And the best part, the admin forgot to edit lock it. It is a beautiful testament to human error, a place where you can rewrite reality because someone forgot to check user permissions. I checked the page for a weapon I was going to steal, only to lose my internet connection. I reconnected to find that the damage number had been changed to 999. I refreshed again. The page was hijacked by Armenian nationalists. I refreshed once more. The page never existed. Welcome to the Mossy Expanse. There's nothing here except several more paths that lead to fuck all. At this point, you may be noticing that you're running out of food, and the best solution to a famine is to kill the other people eating. However, if your party grows large enough, you can hunt for food, or get fucked for food while they watch. Their dialogue is a little rough-fitting, as they show shock, disgust, and awe at the fact I'm being spread open like a stick of butter, as if I did not do that with said characters 5 minutes ago to level them up. The final area is unironically harder than Dark Souls. Every generic mob has enough crowd control to turn your character into a permanent fixture of the sidewalk. Save scumming is not a recommendation, it's a mechanical necessity. You will save before every step, every breath, and every dialogue prompt. You will encounter the Dark Knight, and you will die to the Dark Knight. You will keep dying until one of your oral supports finally does something useful, and you beat the knight with nothing to your name. There are several more encounters in this area, but the majority of them are reskins, and the rest have decent dialogue. Then you reach the final boss. You use every exploit, every coin earned from the Centaur Gulag, and every ounce of your sanity to finally deplete her health bar. And your reward? The game just says fuck you and tells you that you didn't actually defeat her. A narrative middle finger wrapped in an early access bow. There are more endings, but I've ran out of Lexapro. Now, to truly understand the game, we have to look at the mechanics. At its heart, this is a game about aggressive expansion, resource management, and enduring unimaginable amounts of executive strain. You start as a relatively weak entity, constantly scanning your surroundings for vulnerable targets to subjugate. Every single interaction is a delicate dance of diplomacy and forced vassalization. You spend hours meticulously managing your relations, trying to avoid coalition warfare, while ensuring your borders are secure from hostile, degenerate forces looking to completely dismantle your sovereignty. The combat requires absolute precision. One wrong move, one miscalculated engagement, and your manpower reserves are completely depleted, leaving you utterly bankrupt and forced to take out loans just to keep your run afloat. You will constantly find yourself staring at complex screens, looking at discipline modifiers, morale boosts, and wondering if you have enough administrative power to handle the sheer weight of the corruption you're forced to endure. It's a grueling, unforgiving experience where you will inevitably get completely screwed over by bad RNG, a terrible air, or an unexpected stability drop that leaves your entire territory in absolute ruin. It is a masterpiece of psychological torture, masquerading as entertainment. If you couldn't tell, nothing I just said has anything to do with this game. I've been talking about Europa Universalis 4 for the past 2 minutes. As for Tales of Androgyny, I give it 2 magnates out of a Grand Duchy. Also, during my travels through the barren wasteland known as New England, I created a physical copy of Tales of Androgyny, and have placed it in one of many Goodwills in the 860 area code region of Connecticut. To whomever finds it, please note that it runs perfectly on the PlayStation 3. I have no idea how I did that, and much like the question of, why are you getting $7,000 from the Mossad every week, some things are best left unanswered. Have a good one, and remember, you're paying for a game I got for free.